So you want to learn how to make documentaries? Well, you're in luck because that is what I am sharing with you right now. Documentaries. How do I make them? What's my process? And what are the things that you need to make a nice, decent documentary piece? But before I dive into that, a bit of a disclaimer. This is my personal process. This is the process that I use whenever I'm doing a documentary for television, because that is where I work as a documentary producer. So with that out of the way, these are the things that you need to focus on whenever you are doing a documentary. Of course, you need to establish what your story is. Remember, a story is different from a topic. Topic is what your story is about, while your story will carry your viewers from the beginning of your documentary up until the end. An example of a topic is poverty in the Philippines, while an example of a story is how John goes through his day just to feed his family of 6. That's a story. Well, both of these are important, but if you want to set your documentary apart and compelling from the others, you should focus more on the story of your character. His journey, his hardships, and conflict, that is what makes an interesting documentary to watch. Now, here's a pro tip, okay? Your story should be answering a question. If you are just following your character around, that's not gonna be good. That's a lot of wasted footage. From the example that I gave about John a while ago, you should ask yourself, what does John do in order for his family to survive? Where does he turn to every time he's in need? Or better yet, will John be able to rise up from poverty? So those are the questions that you need to consider. So if you have a story to tell for your documentary, write it down in the comment section below and let's develop that story by asking questions. Alright, now that you have a good story to tell, the next step would be to make an outline on how you envision your documentary and how your story will run from start to finish. When you outline your story, it doesn't have to be linear, okay? If you want to know how to make an outline, check out the video at the end of this video. To give you an example, here's how I usually do my outline. Say I have 3 scenes, okay? A background story for my character's journey, and a resolution of his conflict. I can say that I can start my documentary with my character's journey, okay? The middle one. So that would be the first one. And then I'll tell his background story, and finally I go back to the end of his journey and show the resolution to his problems. It could go either way. You can start with finding the resolution to his problems, then tell his background, and journey back to the resolution. By outlining, you won't get lost in your storytelling. Never, okay? Never go to a shoot without preparing your questions. It's like going to a battle without an ammo, okay? So write it down the night before your shoot or day before your shoot. It's also a huge help if you pre-interview your characters without the camera days before your actual interview on cam. That way you would get to know your characters more and ask more meaningful questions. At the same time, you also get comfortable with each other. By doing pre-interviews, you can also identify if that person you will interview is good to be in front of the camera, or is he or she a good storyteller, because most of the people are not used to having cameras in their faces. Find the person with the best personality on camera. By the way, if you're writing down your questions, always refer to your outline and make sure that that person you are interviewing answers your question in a manner of storytelling. I always shoot my interview before shooting B-roll. 2 reasons. 1, interviews are easy to set up, but it's difficult to get a schedule. So do that first. Number 2, during the interview, you will know what B-roll to shoot based on the answers of your interviewee. My personal process for shooting B-roll is intentional because I usually have large file sizes. So in order to maximize my hard drive, I only shoot what I need. Plus, it's a lot less files to go through editing. Trust me, you'll thank me later for doing that. Now, before you edit your documentary, watch the entire interview. What I usually do is put all my interviews in the editing timeline. From there, I watch it and I mark good segments and put notes on them. This way, I'm already processing internally on how I will tell my story. I call this mental editing. I'm not yet editing on my computer, but I'm already building my story on my mind. Okay, when you edit in segments. It's easier, especially if you want to shuffle your story. In my experience, a lot of documentaries turned out to be great when I don't do a chronological order of storytelling, meaning it's not linear. That way, your storytelling is more dynamic. And speaking of storytelling, watch these videos if you want to know more on how to tell good stories. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to learn, create, and share. So, peace out. Documentaries, documentaries, documentaries.